Hey guys, I wanted to just do a little reading, kind of a read aloud of the articles. If you are somebody that would rather listen to the articles being read for your mini research project, I figured I could do that for you real quick. And of course, if you missed my voice, because I know some of you are just really missing it, I'm joking. But I figured it would help you as you're filling out your outline. So just a friendly reminder that you are working on a mini research assignment where you only have to use the articles we provided, and you are proving whether or not online learning is more effective or traditional learning is more effective. And you will be filling out this outline as you read your articles. So you will come up with a thesis, one comparing online learning versus traditional. It's apparent that blank is more effective, and you'll come up with an overall reason. You will have a counterclaim, although many believe blank. So maybe whatever someone could argue against, whichever one you picked, this is incorrect because blank. So basically, you're coming up with a reason, a counterclaim with, again, another reason in support of your argument. Overall, saying whichever one is the best. Okay. It is important that you use topic sentences with the main idea. Give textual evidence of citations, explanation. You only have to have 2 pieces of evidence per paragraph. And there's only 2 body paragraphs for a total of 4 paragraphs. Now, let me kind of just read these aloud to you. And then obviously you can read them on your own as we go. So all of these, you're supposed to use 2 of the 3. So I highly recommend just reading them all, depending on what you need. Source 1 is online courses fail those who need help. So already think about what maybe you could do as maybe you don't know what your point of view is. What point of view is this one in favor for? So it says online courses fail those who need help. So I'd probably say that this one is probably going to be more in favor of traditional learning, but let's see. Okay, so this is by Susan Dynarski. It is written, the date is 2018. That'll be important when you do citation, and it's from the New York Times, so it is reputable. And thank you again, Mrs. Rooker. She found all these articles for us. So this is our article commentary. Shh. Okay, so here's our article commentary. It says, after all, taking a class without a teacher requires high levels of self-motivation, self-regulation, and organization. So it's saying that if you're going to do online learning, this is what you're going to have in order to be successful. Yet in high schools across the country, students who are struggling in traditional classrooms are increasingly steered into online courses. Susan Dynarski is a professor of public policy, education, and economics at the University of Michigan. In the following viewpoint, Dynarski argues that online education offered by high schools, colleges, and universities primarily benefits students with already strong academic skills and knowledge, while failing many of the underperforming students which they are designed to serve. The author contends that with the exception of blended courses, in which lessons contain both online and classroom components, online education courses typically offer little personalized instruction, which can be detrimental. So that means it could be an issue or problem to students who have struggled in a traditional school setting and students with poor study skills. Citing a study comparing the proficiency level of students who pass an online course with those of the students who pass a traditional classroom course, the author notes that the online education students demonstrated lower proficiency levels. So overall, online education's proficiency levels are lower. As you read, consider the following questions. What concern does the author raise regarding online high school credit recovery programs with high pass rates? According to Dynarski, why is the online education program at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology especially successful? And in your opinion, what can educators offering online-only courses do to improve subject proficiency and completion rates? So a single teacher can reach thousands of students in an online course, opening up a world of knowledge to anyone with an internet connection. This limitless reach also offers substantial benefits for school districts that need to save money by reducing the number of teachers. But in high schools and colleges, there's mounting evidence that the growth of online education is hurting a critical group, the less proficient students who are precisely those most in need of skilled classroom teachers. So it looks like this might be more in favor, if you can see, of traditional learning, but we'll continue and we'll see. It says online courses can be broken down into several categories, and some are more effective than others. In blended courses, for example, students don't do their work only online. They also spend time in a classroom with a flesh and blood teacher. Research suggests that students at nearly all levels of achievement do just as well in these blended courses as they do in traditional classrooms. And this model, online resources supplement traditional instruction but don't replace it. So, blended learning would be where you have a teacher maybe a few days a week, and then you have some online learning as well. In the fully online model, on the other hand, a student may never be in the same room with an instructor. This category is the main problem. It is where less proficient students tend to run into trouble. After all, taking a class without a teacher requires high levels of self-motivation, self-regulation, and organization. Yet in high schools across the country, students who are struggling in traditional classrooms are increasingly steered into online courses. For example, in a so-called credit recovery program, so that would be maybe like extended opportunity, for instance, many students who have flunked a course in an old-fashioned classroom retake the class online. The negative consequences may not be obvious at first because the pass rates in these courses are very high, and students that take them tend to graduate from high school instead of flunking out. But what could be wrong with that? But there is something wrong with it. In reality, students who complete these courses tend to do quite poorly on subsequent tests of academic knowledge. This suggests that these online recovery courses often give students an easy passing grade without teaching them very much. So basically, what this is saying is that with some of these online credit recoveries, people are just kind of getting through because it's maybe easy to pass, but they're actually hindered for the next grade level. So it says that there's something wrong with it. In reality, students who complete these courses tend to do quite poorly on subsequent tests of academic knowledge. This suggests that these online recovery courses often give students an easy passing grade without teaching them very much. Consider a study conducted in the Chicago high schools. Students who had failed algebra were randomly assigned either to online or to face-to-face recovery courses, and the results were clear. Students in the online algebra courses learned so much less than those who worked with a teacher in a classroom. So this might be a good piece of evidence here. Online courses have many real benefits, of course. They can help provide high achievers in need of more advanced coursework than their districts provide through other means. This is especially true in small rural districts that offer few specialized traditional courses for students working ahead of their grades. So this is saying that online courses can give, you can maybe take an additional class or get extra resources for people who like to work ahead or want to maybe learn more independent study. A study of Maine and Vermont examined the effect of online courses on 8th graders with strong math skills in schools that didn't offer face-to-face algebra classes. Students were randomly assigned either to online algebra or to the less challenging stranded math offered in traditional classes. Both groups of students were tested at the end of the school year. The online algebra students did substantially better than their counterparts in standard classrooms. They're actually twice as likely to complete advanced math much later in high school. And colleges, especially in non-selective and for-profit schools, online education has expanded rapidly too, with similar effects. These schools disproportionately enroll low-income students who are often the first in their families to attend college. Such students tend to drop out of college at very high rates, and students with weak preparation don't fare well in online college classes. As recent research by professors at Harvard and Stanford show, these scholars examined the performance of hundreds of thousands of students at DeVry University, a large for-profit college with sites across the country. DeVry offers online and face-to-face versions of all of its courses, using the same textbooks, assessments, and lecture materials, in each format. Even though the courses are seemingly identical, the students who enroll online do substantially worse. And the effects are lasting, with online students more likely to drop out of college altogether. Harder hit are those who enter the online class with low grades. And work by researchers at many colleges concur with the DeVry findings. The weakest students are hurt most by the online format. For those with strong academic skills, by contrast, online learning can open up amazing opportunities. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology offers a set of free online courses in the economics of developing countries. Students who perform well in these classes can apply for face-to-face master programs with economics at MIT. In fact, the online courses are the sole route into the special degree program. With online credit, students need to spend only one semester in Cambridge to graduate. The MIT approach reverses the high school model in which students who fail in a face-to-face class are shifted into a more challenging online format. And MIT's programs, students must first demonstrate that they can tough it out in an online class. And only then are they admitted to a rigorous face-to-face master's program. Online education is still in its youth, and many approaches are possible, and some may ultimately benefit students with deep and diverse needs. As of now, however, the evidence is clear. For advanced learners, online classes are a terrific option, but academically challenged students need a classroom with a teacher's support. And then here's all the copyright information. So this article really is telling us that if you're a more advanced learner, an online class is a wonderful option to kind of work ahead and to individually pace yourself. But those students that are more academically challenged really need that traditional learning, and online learning is not effective for them. So you could use this for your argument. So this again was source 1, online courses fail those who need help. In just a moment, I will read source 2. Okay, so then here is source 2, and it's online education pros and cons. So this is going to be a wonderful article no matter which side that you're on, because it's going to show you some good things about online education and it's going to show you some negatives. So it could be good for one of your reasons or your counterclaim. So this is published in 2019, so you'll have to pay attention to that. It's from a Gale Opposing Viewpoints online collection, and it's by Gale, a Signage company. If you were to scroll down here, it gives you who you would link this by. So here it doesn't have a particular author. It's just going to be the Gale Signage company. So keep that in mind. It even shows you kind of how you would source, how you could cite this too, okay? So it's Online Education's the title, Gale's Opposing Viewpoints, and again, the Gale company is who's authored, kind of in charge of this. Okay, so here we have our full text here so that we can take a look at. So it says a variety of academic institutions offer online education opportunities using digital communication technologies to facilitate instruction and student participation in virtual classrooms. Earlier forms of distant education operated through correspondence courses where students and instructors communicated through the mail. In the 1960s, the University of Illinois created internal networks that allowed professors to post course materials, such as recorded lectures, on a system of computers for student access. By the mid-1990s, following the broad expansion of web-based programs and applications, modern online education evolved rapidly, with a new program offerings and methods used to access the remote classroom. An outgrowth of traditional models, online education platforms of the 20th century reached millions of learners in the United States enrolled in K-12 programs and higher education. Students can receive academic credit for single courses or certification processes, or enroll in diploma or degree programs offered partially or completely online through computers, smartphones, and tablets. So basically this first paragraph right here, guys, is giving us a little history of how we kind of started online education. First, it was kind of through the mail and it wasn't really online. And then as time goes, it kind of developed. Maybe when you write your paper, you might want to think of a hook where you slightly reword. You still want to put in your own words, but maybe summarize one of these points or kind of define what online learning is. So this might be useful as we go. All right, so let's see kind of what's still going on with online learning. Online education provides a workable option for many students by allowing greater individualization and flexibilities than traditional brick and mortar schools. So this is saying here that online program is a workable option and it's more flexible and individualized than traditional schools. So that's what they have so far. Teachers and administrations have noted, however, that online learning environments are not appropriate or effective for all students. Generally, virtual K through 12 schools that perform. Sorry, let me backtrack real quick here. Teachers and administrations have noted, however, that online learning environments are not appropriate or effective for all students. Generally, virtual K through 12 schools, so that's kindergarten through 12th grade schools, perform poorly related to traditional schools based on achievement measures. Internet availability, speed, and costs also limit accessibility for many students. So that's an issue. Can students even have internet access? Instructors can face challenges adapting traditional classroom content to online platforms, complicated by changing technology and instructional strategies. Students who struggle to learn independently and manage their time, and those who have difficulty communicating and mastering technology may need face-to-face engagement, assistance, and support. Critics further allege wide disparities in the quality of online education programs, especially credit recovery programs. In K through 12 schools that allow students to earn academic credit by retaking previously failed courses, and college degree programs advertised by unaccredited institutions. And then this is giving us some pros and cons of both of online education. This will be extremely helpful for your paper. So here are some pros, things that are some positives for online education. Online education provides options for K through 12 students by allowing greater individualization and flexibility and expanding access to opportunities that are not available at all traditional brick or mortar schools. So again, it's saying more individualization and it's more flexible. So that's a pro. Another pro is academic content, materials, courses, and degree programs are easier and less expensive to access through online education, particularly for non-traditional, rural, disabled, and other marginalized students. So again, it's saying it can be cheaper and more available for some rural country schools. Next point. The proliferation of digital technologies has made higher education more accessible, as stakeholders at prestigious institutions have worked to adapt and develop free access to their courses for online learning. Okay, so those are some positives. Some cons. So it's against online learning. Virtual K through 12 schools generally underperform compared to traditional schools, as it is difficult to adapt conventional instruction for use in online platforms, and many students require face-to-face engagement and support to succeed. So they're saying that testing and some achievement measures are not always the greatest with online learning. It says internet availability, speed, and cost, as well as the availability and cost of additional technology, limit access to online learning platforms and programs, particularly for low-income student populations. So internet and speed and cost can definitely be an issue. And then another con is quality disparities among online programs degrade the overall value of online education by contributing to stigma among educators and employers, enabling predatory practices to thrive in the industry. So it might not always be the best quality when you're getting online learning versus that instruction that you could get face-to-face. So online K through 12 education. Student enrollment in K through 12 online education has grown exponentially at full-time virtual and blended learnings or hybrid schools, a formal program combining coursework completed in a traditional classroom setting with web-based learning and instruction. According to a 2018 study published by the National Education Policy Center at the University of Colorado Boulder, during the 2016 and 2017 school years, 429 full-time online schools operated in 34 states, with a total enrollment of 295,518 students. Blended learning schools operated in 29 states at 296 schools, with 116,716 students during the same period. K through 12 schools generally have a variety of options when it comes to online coursework, through offerings and participation levels vary by state. Some states and school districts offer tuition-free online public schools for residents. During the 2016-17 school year, charter schools accounted for 75.7% of student enrollments in these online programs, though they constituted less than half of all online K through 12 schools. Private schools also offer full-time online education to students nationwide. Supplemental online courses offered by districts, private vendors, nonprofit organizations, and universities allow students to complete core academic credits, credit recovery courses, and elective credits, including advanced placement and honor courses. The education research and consulting firm Evergreen Education Group reports that during the 2015-2016 fiscal year, more than 523,000 students were enrolled in supplemental online K through 12 courses offered by states. Enrollment in K through 12 online courses continues to increase despite educator concerns regarding the consistency of program quality and inadequate educational outcomes. According to the NEPC, during the 2016-2017 school year, Virtual and blended schools had a student-teacher ratio significantly higher than the national average for traditional public schools of 16 students per teacher, with this ratio tripling among virtual schools and doubling among blended schools. So that means that a teacher in a class, instead of maybe how Mrs. Ricker and I might have 25 students in each class period, we may have it triple. So you may not be getting as much individualized attention. Among the schools that received a rating from the NEPC, 43% of blended schools and 36% of virtual schools received a school performance rating of acceptable. The NEPC noted, however, that it assigned ratings to only 39% of the 429 virtual schools and 24% of the 296 blended schools in the United States due to inconsistency in states' data reporting. One-time graduation rates at full-time online and blended schools are often significantly lower than the national average. So online graduation rates are not as high. Supplemental credit recovery courses have also been rated poor quality with low standards of achievements. Critics point out that some of these courses required little or no teacher support and use ineffective assessments to determine whether students achieve satisfactory knowledge of the subject matter to earn a passing grade. Critics further point to the uneven results of online programs in terms of student performance across various demographic groups and enrollment categories. A study completed by the Michigan Virtual Learning Research Institution examined over 100,000 students enrolled in the state's K-12 online programs during the 2016-2017 academic year. The study revealed that the majority of participants in online courses were high school students, taking credit required to graduate. Of the study participants, 62 came from households at or below the poverty line, with a passing rate that was 18 percentage points lower than that of more affluent students. White students participated at a higher rate than African American students. Female students performed better than males, with a pass rate of 57 compared to 53. Students enrolled in only one or two online courses had a pass rate that was 22 percentage points higher than students enrolled in 5 or more. So again, all of this is giving us some data of what's going on with passage rates. It says proponents of online K-12 learning contend that full-time online courses improve accessibility and increase the availability of courses and expertise limited by geographic location and cost. Students living in rural locations face small schools, teacher shortages, and high teacher turnover rates and lower budgets. Accordingly, rural schools enrolled in K-12 online courses at greater proportions than students in suburban areas. So it's saying students that are more out in the country, since they don't have as many options or opportunities, may really benefit from online learning for extra classes they might not get. Virtual programs allow access to advanced and non-traditional courses otherwise unavailable in geographic proximity to rural residences. Advocates of online programs further posted that students with physical or learning difficulties benefit from virtual instruction programs that allow them to complete their coursework through specialized learning platforms adapted to their needs. So there might be more adaptation and individualized instruction for those who have need some extra support. Such programs allow these students to remain in an accommodating environment and work at their own pace. All right, some critical thinking questions. What difficulties do educators face when adapting traditional classrooms and courses for online learning? In your opinion, should there be more industry standardization and government regulation? If you were looking for an online course to take, do you think you'd be able to distinguish high quality programs from low quality programs? So higher education online, when students' enrollment in higher education trended downward from 2011 through 2018. The percentage of students taking online classes steadily increased. During the 2016 and 2017 academic year, 6.4 million students attended at least one web-based college-level course. Approximately one half of online students were enrolled in programs taught entirely online, and the other half attended a combination of virtual and on-campus courses. Students attending community college were the most likely to enroll in one or more courses online, and by 2018, the majority of students taking online courses were enrolled at public institutions. Remote attendance at these institutions tends to be localized, with students more likely to elect in-state programs. And kind of the rest of this here is more about kind of college. I'm not going to read the rest of that because we're really kind of talking about our level. That's giving us some more information about college programs and how those are online. Okay, so this was online education pros and cons. Let's go then to our last source, which is source 3. Once it scrolls up. So this is plunging into remote learning. Families find stress, chaos, and some surprising wins. So again, remote learning is online learning. This is by Laura Meckler, Valerie Strauss, and Mariah Bellignant, and I might have pronounced that wrong. I'm sorry, but you have all the spelling here that you need for your citation. This is written in 2020 by the Washington Post. It's a reputable website. And again, if you go to the very bottom, it will show you the citation, and you can even go like to Cite Me or use any of your resources, and it can show you how to do a proper in-text citation. But here's your citation down there for when you actually do that. All right, so this is our last article, so hang in there, guys. Okay. So Melissa Beckler is living 2 versions of the nation's mass and involuntary moves to online education. As a teacher in a rural corner of Northwest Pennsylvania, she's been told not to teach. Too many students don't have internet connections, and her district has decided it wouldn't be right to leave them behind. But Becker's own daughters, who attend a nearby district, are in daily contact with their teachers through online posts and live Zoom meetings, which they access on district-issued iPads. When the children aren't doing schoolwork, Becker's family embarks on scavenger hunt hikes, played board games, and researched recipes from the Great Depression. At home, she says, it's better than I expected. At work, it's so frustrating. Across the country, almost all schools have closed to prevent spread of the novel coronavirus, with 4 states saying they're done for the academic year. So now this is right before, this is probably published, was it March? So this is before everything closed, so just keep that in mind. But it is talking about the coronavirus, actually, so this is very relevant to our situation. All right, sorry, I had to backtrack. So across the country, almost all schools have closed to prevent spread of the novel coronavirus, with 4 states saying they're done for the academic year. Schools and districts have been scrambling to salvage the school year with remote learning, hoping to keep students on track, and in many places this week brought the first real attempts. But early evidence from the new era of homeschooling suggests students, teachers, and parents are having vastly different experiences, with existing gaps in resources exuberated and new divides opening, according to more than 40 interviews and hundreds of email exchanges with parents, teachers, administrators, and students. Some districts are delivering organized, rich learning to some children and frustrating dysfunction to others. Different children in the same family sometimes have split experiences. It's been especially challenging for families struggling to meet basic needs and in homes where students can't connect to the internet. High poverty districts' first priority often was setting up meal distribution for children who rely on schools for breakfast and lunch, with learning sometimes a secondary concern. Also hit hard, children with disabilities, those who struggle with technology, and parents who are overwhelmed trying to do their own jobs at home while also learning to become better amateur teachers. Some teachers report dozens of emails from parents simply trying to log on. Yet in other school systems, including some large, diverse districts, appear to be finding success. This includes schools that invested in technology. They give every student their own tablet or computer, and where parents are well positioned to help. And Seattle, Stephen Witz assumed online learning would be a mess, but he now sees his 15-year-old son, who attends a private school, being forced to think through problems in a deeper way now that he's learning more independently. The knee-jerk reaction is, wow, this must be the worst, Wentz said. But the more thoughtful reaction is that there may be real benefits. Becker's description of a district not even trying to teach might sound extreme, but is actually common. Many districts are declined to offer any instruction or grading, concerned that remote learning will not be equitable. Administration says unfair, and it's possibly illegal to offer instructions when some students do not have the computers or internet. And these are like for districts that wouldn't have access to hotspots and like Chromebooks like we do. They often worry that they will be in violation of federal laws if they're not properly serving children with disabilities. The U.S. Education Department tried to reassure districts that they may offer online education, even if it's not equitable. But some school officials still believe that they may be vulnerable to lawsuits. We're getting promises out of the mouth of legislators and government officials, but the laws and codes have not changed. Amy Stewart, the superintendent of the Warren School District in Russell, Pennsylvania, where Becker teaches, wrote in a letter to faculty. And another note she wrote that online resources are great for kids who access them, but are not willing to leave out the other kids that are behind. A similar situation in Knox County, Tennessee, has Betsy Henderson, a mother of two, frustrated. She wishes teachers would at least offer help or something to keep their children occupied. This would be a huge help to parents at home with their children and give kids some sense of normalcy, she said. Other places would love to teach but are consumed by meeting more basic needs. And the rural Southwest local school districts in Ohio, one of three families are living in poverty. And the immediate focus was that they were distributing meals and figuring out how to get everyone online, said Superintendent John Hamstra. There will be tons of review and very little new learning, he said, and that's if students can come online at all. Hamstra worries some students will go dark and we won't hear from them at all. The student is logging in, and then what, he said. No matter the district, success in the new system appears to depend heavily on parental support, especially for younger students. Yet many parents are caught in economic and logistical crises of their own. Jobs are disappearing. Those still working outside their homes have to worry about staying healthy while also finding childcare. And those working from homes are forced to juggle their jobs and their new responsibility, overseeing schoolwork. I feel like the ball is in the parents' court, said J.T. Couchrider, a first grade teacher at a high poverty school in Philadelphia. He sees parents who have no time to help with school, who must leave children home with older siblings or with grandparents who don't speak English. It's very challenging and difficult. I don't believe there's much learning happening. Parents are told that they're failing if they can't make it work, said Carrie Rodriguez, president of the National Parental Unit, a grassroots advocacy group for low-income parents. Many are working hard just to survive, only to be confronted with a flood of educational websites and online assignments. All this is a mess, she said. People have to be realistic about where parents are, and they're just not getting it. For parents already overwhelmed with work or life, it may not be helpful to encounter an Instagram-ready schedule, divided into neat, colorful blocks with time designated for learning and creativity with brain breaks. Rodriguez is telling parents, you need to have pretty low expectations. The frustration and burnout are familiar to more affluent parents, too. They may have internet connections and paychecks, but they also might be struggling with a child who has special needs, or they might be juggling demanding work with multiple child assignments. In Beverly Hills, California, Sheena Koskov, the chief revenue officer at the fashion media company Who What Wear, is grappling with advertisers that may pull their campaigns because of the coronavirus crisis. She's also managing the online schoolwork of her 8-year-old son Cole, sitting by her side whenever he's working on assignments. He doesn't know how to use Google Docs, she said, and the two of them share a computer. There's a lot of times when he's watching a video or doing a FaceTime lesson, and emails are popping up on the top of the screen, and I'm grabbing it for them. Wait, I have to respond to that. And education, so often the affluent thrive and the poor settle for less. And the sudden age of homeschooling, that's not the whole story. New York Public Schools, the county's largest district with 1.1 million children, offers a case study. Even in some affluent areas, schools are struggling to launch strong distance learning programs with inconsistent results. And Lower Manhattan, Naomi Penasai, 7th grader, is sailing through online education, which formally began this week. But her 4th grade twins are facing a huge learning curve, particularly her son. He has dyslexia, she said, so she has to sit by his side while he's working in assignments. She said that the school still hasn't figured out how to provide him with the service he gets in the classroom. I think every parent does as good as they can, but this is putting a lot of pressure on us, she said. J. Len McLean, 18, said he's unimpressed with the virtual education he's being offered. A senior at Talented Unlimited High School in Manhattan and a musician who plays the saxophone, clarinet, and flute, he calls online learning rather unproductive. It's like I'm teaching myself rather than just being taught, he said. And he misses human interactions. Just talk to your friends, listen to them reasoning out their answers. Why, they thought this interpretation for something was this and not something else. The constant push of the teachers looking at your work, pushing your ideas, that's all important. Amid the chaos of these first days and weeks, the biggest surprise may be the families for whom online education hasn't felt like a disaster. In districts big and small, urban and rural, there are parents and students enjoying this new reality and educators who say it's working. In Miami, Superintendent Alberto Calvajo said he started planning for this in January when he was first heard about the coronavirus crisis in China. The Miami-Dade County Public Schools had already invested in digital technology, and the district began creating online curriculum, working with the FBI and the Secret Service on digital security. As the crisis arrived to the United States, Cavallo negotiated an agreement with the teachers union for remote learning beginning before the school closed. The district surveyed families to find out who needed computers and distributed 60,000 devices, and a plan to feed all 350 students was put in place. If we're going to persist, let's do it right, Calverho said. Let's do it big. To be sure, there are complaints, but instruction across the district began 2 days after schools went dark. Online attendance rates were close to 100% at Miami's Biotech at Richmond Heights High School, a magnet school. And in the first weeks, teachers completed 875 live online sessions. It's been an easy transition, says Kelly Rodriguez, a senior. At Dr. Carlos J. Finley Elementary School in the Sweetwater neighborhood, most of the children come from poor families, and half are learning English. But every class is now online, and the biggest challenge is persuading teachers to narrow their focus to a handful of online tools, said Principal Maria Ora Sanchez. It's astonishing, she said. I'm astonished, and I'm part of it. Elsewhere, the pandemic forced school systems to swiftly make changes that might have otherwise taken years. Los Angeles Unified School District, the nation's second largest school system, planned to spend $100 million to provide devices for students who could not afford them. It struck a deal with Verizon to deliver free internet to students without service. This is the moonshot, said Superintendent Austin Benutner. It's that order of magnitude of difficulty, and maybe that magnitude of importance because we have to do it, and it's not an optional exercise. Other small communities can't afford moonshots, but they're improvising with some success. In El Reno, a small town outside Oklahoma City, even Superintendent Craig McVeigh lacks a good enough broadband to stream videos in his home. He conducted a survey 2 years ago and found only about 40% of district's families have internet access. So McVeigh plans to deliver worksheets and paper packets and possibly through the local newspaper. In Bushnell, Florida, about an hour northeast of Tampa, the school system's fleet of buses is still up and running, being used to deliver school lunches. So the district puts the buses to use for learning, installing Wi-Fi hotspots in them so families can tap in when the buses are parked in their neighborhoods. It's so hard to serve children with disabilities remotely that the victories sometimes look small. In Lexington, South Carolina, Ari Waller, a kindergartner, can hear sounds but can't process them. At school, he has a speech therapist, a sign language class, and an interpreter. And to participate in virtual story time, his mom has to set up 2 phones on her couch, one with his teacher reading a story and one with his interpreter on a video conference. Ahead of the story, Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, the interpreter emailed his mom a diagram for the sign for coconut, and she taught it so airy so he could understand the sentence, I'll meet you at the top of the coconut tree. For all the stress, some parents are finding success and even fulfillment in virtual learning. In Santa Monica, California, Julie Perez-Slater, an actress, and her husband, a film editor, have lost work because of the coronavirus crisis, but they have savings to cushion the blow and are able to be home with their middle school-age children. Graham in 8th grade is essentially teaching himself trigonometry, Slater said. Her daughter Riley, 11, misses learning from other kids, but sees an upside to school from home. I can get more work done so much faster than at school, Riley said. I don't have to wait for everyone else in the class. Tiffany Simpson of Bakersfield, California, and her 11-year-old daughter have been reading Old Yeller together. In the past, when she's reading a book with her class, she tries to catch me up, but it's not the same, Simpson said. I'm so impressed with how prepared they were, Danielle Matlack said of her children's Catholic school in Schweckensville, Pennsylvania, outside Philadelphia. On top of online lessons, games, and specials such as music and Spanish, the schools have encouraged students to dress up with different themes each day. Crazy hair day on Tuesday, pajama day on Friday, and on Wednesday, dress like an older person in honor of those most at risk. The teachers are ready to roll their new online learning structures in only 3 days, said Sonia McKay, whose daughter attended a charter school in Raleigh, North Carolina. Are they perfect? No, but it's truly amazing. And this copyright is the Washington Post. All right, guys, those are the 3 articles that you can use. Now kind of take what you got here and start filling out your outline. Is online learning better or is traditional learning better? And hopefully you've thought of a reason and then a point someone could argue against you and still kind of how you are correct with your sub-argument. The code word today for the video to get you a point or 2 on your outline or your paper is Gales. So email us, me or Mrs. Rooker, Gales, or write it in a private comment on your outline assignment and we can give you a point or 2. All right, we miss you guys all terribly. Please email us, fill us in on the loop. I'm sorry if there's a couple pauses here. My kids are very busy. So thank you for being patient with me. Bye, guys.